Hey, welcome back to Underdeveloped, guys. How you doing? Tyrell and Nick here, and we are covering the highly anticipated Dune. And for the record, I've never seen a movie theater this full since COVID, or since before COVID.
Yeah, man.
Like
it was packed,
jam packed. And what that I could say, if you don't know anything about Dune, like if you haven't read the book, or probably even watched the older movie, or
you might get a little lost.
Like the different, because they throw a lot of weird names around, a lot of made up names, a lot of terms and phrases and stuff like that.
We actually watched this with a friend who has absolutely no understanding of the book or
he didn't read the book. He doesn't really anything about
he felt like he was on
confused.
acid.
Utterly confused. Yeah,
he thought it was a fever dream.
Yeah, he thought he was having an acid trip for real.
Yeah,
so that was pretty funny.
Yeah. So just a heads up for everyone who's not in the know.
So overall, Nick is a Dune aficionado. He loves Dune. He has the books. I have one of the books, which I'm currently reading, but I'm not finished with it yet.
I have 3 sequels on hand.
I have the big book at home, which I'm reading right now. I'm like at chapter 15, and I'm kind of mixing it between Audible and physical. So I read enough to have like a basic understanding of like the story and the people and the characters and their purposes and the different types of peoples and different terms and references. And Nick has been a big help in telling me about it.
Also, we did have a failed attempt at watching the movie.
Yes.
He got halfway through that, so ironically...
Not halfway. I think I got through most of it. It's just that I started falling asleep at the last half of it. Because... it wasn't a good attempt on watching the original Dune. It was just very boring and sucked. It was terrible from the jump. And I just couldn't stay awake. So it would be a disservice to put that reaction out. But here's a little snippet of... Why is the Emperor never... So why the Emperor... It is the Emperor just coming. Ew, what the fuck is that? So that's pretty much was the vibe. So Dune stars Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, of course, Rebecca Ferguson, Dave Bautista, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Jason Momoa, and they all died. Spoiler alert. Well, majority of them died.
We don't know if Brolin's dead. We never saw him die.
That's true, but come on. Duke Leto, played by Oscar Isaac, has died, of course.
Well, I like how they gave away that fucking Duncan Idaho was not going to make it to part 2.
Yeah,
the very beginning. They're like...
Which is suck, I love him as a character, man. He had a nice arc. Like, I mean, I saw it coming, but it's like, damn, I'd really... Not him.
Oh, of course you saw it coming, because Paul gives away early in the movie. Like, he's like, hey, I saw a vision of you dying.
But my thing is, it was vision, but that doesn't have to be fake, though. That was my perspective.
Well, yes, and that's one thing I do like about this movie. Like, this is like the one adaptation of Dune where it makes it clear that Paul is seeing possible futures, not the future.
Yeah,
and we see that later with the Fremen he kills at the end, because he gets visions of that guy throughout the movie where he's like teaching him, he's becoming one with him, like he's his guide through the desert.
Body that dude.
Yeah.
Gross.
I'm not in the mood. Not in the mood. Mood's a thing for cattle and love play.
Oh my god, I swear to God, Pattis dude always had the balding...
He always looked old. This is 40 years ago. With this whack-ass fucking CGI. Look at this.
What the fuck is this?
This is the shields. You know those shields that's supposed to be near invisible that all the characters have? This is what they look like in this movie. They look bad. I do like that they make it perfectly clear that the Bene Gesserit kind of like set up a lot of the mythology that the Fremen follow, and that Paul is explicitly exploiting that. Because if you took that away, then you pretty much are doing the same thing that David Lynch movie did, and just turned Paul from a critique of the white savior to just a flat-out white savior.
Yeah, and I felt it was really going for the white savior thing in this one, but from Paul's perspective, he's really alluding to the fact that this is all like bullshit anyways.
No, yeah, like because he knows he's exploiting these people's religion.
Yeah.
And he knows that he sees very clear visions of a holy war committed in his name, atrocities committed in his fucking name. Mm. So he actually sees that in this version, unlike the David Lynch version. So that in itself, it's like it kind of like puts a good shadow from him, because it's like, can you really even call him a white savior if he's not really a savior?
Yeah, and at this point we don't know. We just have visions and possible futures. So we'll see for the next film how true those prophecies will be realized. but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be realized in the way that the Bene Gesserits first saw. Because the Bene Gesserits are really a nasty piece of work. They just manipulate everybody.
They do.
But in the way and what they're doing, they're really making the Baron like the main villain.
Yeah.
Of this, what we really know the real villains is the guild and shit like that. And is more higher up. Like he's like the villain that they can see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like the thing is, you still feel the Emperor's presence in everything that happens.
Yeah.
Everyone's always talking about the Emperor. So you really
he
feel
is a paradox.
Yeah,
he
like
is a god.
Yeah, the Emperor is not around, but you absolutely feel his shadow over every little thing that happens in this.
Yeah. He is a paradox. He is a god, essentially. You know, in terms of like the way like he's there, but he's not there. You know
yeah. In that sense, yes. Yeah.
I mean, like, he's literally the lord of everything, but he is like a god in terms in that kind of reference, in my opinion.
Yeah, in that respect, yeah, because even though he's in one place, he's basically everywhere.
Yeah, he's everywhere and he's influencing everything. He's not even around. You know?
Yeah. Speaking of the Emperor, I love the Sardaukar in this movie. They're so threatening in this.
Yeah. But right there, I got confused. The Sardaukar wasn't people in black. It was
they're the ones in white.
It was the fully dudes in white.
Yes.
Right. So who are the people in black then? Because they were attacking them too.
Those are just normal Harkonnen troops.
Okay.
Yeah. That was it. That's like, because in the David Lynch movie, there wasn't like a huge, like, there wasn't that much of a physical distinction between them at all. Yeah. Like, the only real indication we got of their strength was when one of them just kind of just tossed the guy across the screen. Whoa! Did you see that? He just jumped that dude.
Yeah, he just launched him.
He's Superman? That was more funny than it was threatening. And but here they're threatening.
Yeah, and I love the fucking, the worm in this one. The worm David Lynch was good for its time too, but the worm was just threatening because you didn't even see the worm in full size. But you get the size of him by just his mouth opening. Mm-hmm. All you see is sand, and the sand sinks in, and then all you see is like a million teeth, long skinny teeth, just like pulling everything in, and he's just out. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Like,
I think both worms look great, but I think in this way it's just used better. Like it's like you said, like it's the Jaws effect. Like
exactly,
you get more. It's more threatening when you see less.
Yeah, it creates more suspense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it just magnifies the scope of how large and threatening that thing is. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't even know. I'm glad he did this. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. He did Blade Runner 2049, so we see a lot of those similar elements in like sound and cinematography applied to this movie. But Roger Deakins wasn't a part of this movie. It was Greg Fraser, who ironically is also doing the Batman as well. You know what I mean? So I think they both did a great job. You know, with this, even though he didn't use Roger Deakins, probably would have been great for this. I mean, Greg Fraser still did his thing, but to me, Blade Runner was a little more colorful. 2049 was a little more colorful. Well, because they were like in a futuristic city, so it was like a lot of blue, a lot of orange. And this one is like, even though you have like orange shit like that, I feel it's more like the color palette was a little more grim.
It was like it's definitely like. It fits the tone that they're setting, though. Yeah. It's very bleak.
Before watching this movie, I highly suggest just getting, like, educated on just, like, the basis of, like, who everybody, the world, you know? Yeah. Like, just get a baseline understanding of the world, who are these groups of people, who are these, planets, you know what I mean? The names of objects, you know?
Yeah, because this movie doesn't have a ton of exposition.
Yeah, which is great, because you shouldn't have too much. But even though you still need like a little, like a little understanding before going, because you can get lost, like our friend at the movie theaters, because he didn't know anything about Dune, really.
Yeah, you absolutely could. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great resources just to like get yourself all caught up and shit. Yeah,
I just Audible is a good opportunity.
Sure.
Maybe watch an older movie, even though it's a terrible recommendation.
Like, yeah, it's not a good movie, but it does like establish who everyone is.
Exactly.
So
with a little bit more exposition. So
a lot bit more. A lot more. Do you forget about Princess Erwan's face? Like, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you.
Yeah. The Spacing Guild and its navigators, who the spice has mutated over 4,000 years, use the orange spice gas, which gives them the ability to fold space.
Wait, why do you give it a suspicion? You're not even a character in this movie.
Travel to any part of the universe without moving. Oh yes, I forgot to tell you.
Well, I should keep.
The spice exists on
she keeps fading in.
Yeah, as you think as you think she's done, she just comes right back. Oh wait, one more thing. We're gonna put that in, for sure. Yeah. Like she literally she's saying this huge monologue with like a fucking CGI background of space behind her, and just her face well lit, talking to us, and then she's going on this long, and as she starts to fade away, like she's about to finish talking. Then she just pops right back up to continue. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Well, like, were you like that like terrible at it that you don't have that one good take and you just doing a monologue straight through that you have to like just cut it up in a way where it's like just gonna fade in and fade out? I mean, just it's almost like comedic in my opinion.
It kind of was like it was just like I honestly I don't blame David Lynch for just disowning that movie.
Yeah, he should.
Apparently, he had like no creative control over it, which
I feels that way. Because David Lynch is obviously a talented filmmaker.
Oh yeah, because like it's a very different film than anything else he's ever made.
For sure, yeah.
Even though it stars the dude he puts everything in.
But yeah, anyways, let's time to wrap this up. So guys, Nick, what is your overall consensus of this movie and your score?
Overall consensus, it's a very good start of a movie. Like, don't go into this thinking you're going to get any resolution, because you're not. Because it's setting up for this. Because it's very much like half of a story.
It's Infinity War, pretty much. It's setting up for the next part of.
Honestly, if you choose just to skip the movie for now and just come back to it when part 2 is coming out, I don't blame you. Because that's when all of your resolution is going to happen. Is when that movie drops.
This movie like establishes like the conflict. He goes to Arrakis. Mm-hmm. And a lot of motherfuckers die. We get some good fight sequences. Yeah. And he finally meets the girl that's from his vision. And he finally meets the girl from his vision. From his dreams. The literal girl of his dreams. And he finally meets the girl. And he finally meets the girl from his visions. You know, at the end, and you know, so like that's when the movie really starts. But we had to establish everything else in the characters and the people in the world first.
You know, I'm glad you brought it up, because I just remember something that really bugged the fuck out of me in this movie. Shawnee, like, because Shawnee has, like, no reaction to her mom dying at all, and I'm like, do you know? Do you care? Zendaya, what? It's like it never even happened. Yeah. She had such an epic death scene with the worm gator and shit. Like, do you not have anything to say about that? At all? Yeah. Shawnee, what the fuck? Are you a sociopath? Are you Fade Ralpha? The real plot twist.
But yeah, so my consensus, yes, overall I will give this movie a 3.5 out of 4, 3.6. But it's not really, I can't really grade it even as a full movie because we have to wait to see the next part.
Yeah, that's the thing.
This was just a setup. This was pretty much this movie just a long setup to set up the next part.
Honestly, this would be perfect as a miniseries. Yeah. I always feel like Dune should be a miniseries. Like, 2 movies is good. I mean, it's a lot better than what we've ever had before, 2 movies, but still.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're going to make more movies off of this, so I'm pretty sure we're looking at a whole franchise
because like, Vanilla has expressed a desire to turn this specifically into a movie. Yeah. Which, hopefully, I would like to see at least these 2 also get adapted. Yeah. Because the only adaptation this fucking book got was an episode of Billy and Mandy. And that's weird.
But, yeah, with saying that, later, guys, subscribe for more content. A lot of stuff coming at you. We got lots of dropping this month. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff. You like Power, we got Kanan.
Follow us, like, subscribe for all the contents. And remember, people, the spice must flow.
He who controls the spice controls the universe.
Empress, the new Billy has just arrived.
Excellent. Send him in. Where am I?
I swear these Billies get dumber with each cloning.
What happened to everything, Mandy? This is the future, Billy. I now rule the entire Earth. In my research, I discovered this worm form would give me immortality. You are the latest in a long line of Billy clones that have been keeping me company over the millennia.
But I'm the coolest, right?